Hi, well this is Peter again, the voice of Denby. It's the 3rd of February, and I've got to tell you that this is the 2nd attempt I've had at this. I went out earlier to the North Hills Hospital and it was so blowy that it was interfering quite badly with the sound, with the audio. So I scrapped it. So I did put it on initially, but when I looked at it, it wasn't acceptable, so I thought, well, I'll come home, I'll do it again. Anyway, the time is 11:10 at night, and I think it's time for a ghost story. You would expect, really, if there were to be any ghosts anywhere, that you would find them in old asylums, in old mental hospitals. Therefore, it's not really that much of a shock to you, I'm sure, that I have 1 or 2 stories to tell. I want to tell you this story about footsteps. Footprints that led nowhere. It's an unusual story, and it did happen in winter in the year, I would say, 1983, 84, somewhere around there. Again, it's a night duty story. I've been on nights a couple of years, and therefore I found myself one night on the rounds. In other words, I was going around the hospital, relieving and being available for emergencies and things that cropped up in the night. And around about 2 o'clock in the morning, myself and another nursing officer, Mike Maloney, we went, it had been snowing in the night, and we went outside onto the front steps through the main door to look at the snow and to have a smoke. Though of course we could smoke anywhere in those days. You smoke wherever you want, even on the ward. Even the doctor smoked. How times have changed. So myself and Mike were on the front steps to look at this virgin snow. In those days we had snow. We don't have snow like we did in those days. And when we looked down, what we saw was some footprints. Footprints leading from the front door, from the main steps, leading up into the main entrance of the hospital, going round towards Bryn Hyfryd. Well, for fun, we decided we were going to follow those footsteps and see where it took us, who the footsteps belonged to, the footprints in the snow. And that's what we did. We followed them, and they turned off from Bryn Hyfryd and went down towards where the tailor had his sheds, carried on through a little gap in the wall, carried on through an archway, and arrived at number 7 block, the female side. And the footsteps carried on until they reached a door. Mr. Maloney reached for his keys to open that door. But him and me looked at each other in total disbelief, as the door lock had been blocked up, and obviously blocked up many, many years before. There were no further footprints leading away, no footsteps in the snow leading elsewhere. They started at the main entrance and they finished at a door that would never, ever be opened again. Now then, I mentioned the word asylum earlier in the piece, and I would say probably 1975, a headline hit the Free Press. North Wales Asylum, it said on the front page. And I mean, we were very lucky to have someone called Mr. Paddy Thompson, who was our principal nursing officer, Irish chap, retired now obviously from work, but he was one of the top administrators in the country, and he and many other staff who we gathered around him changed the whole ethos from asylum to hospital. The doors of the wards were eventually opened. We had an open door policy when I arrived, though what it basically meant was that when a patient, not that the patient ever would, asked for you to open the door for them, you would open the door. Otherwise the door remained locked. Eventually all the wards were open. And again, harking back to that time, I seem to remember when the headline did appear in the Free Press that Mr Thompson went absolutely berserk at the Free Press and demanded an apology, demanding that it was called North Wales Hospital, not North Wales Asylum. That was something from the past. And the next week the Free Press did issue an apology, blaming an oversight. They should have changed the printing press word asylum to hospital, but as the hospital had hardly ever been mentioned for many, many years, they had not done that. Anyway, on a lighter note, so I remember probably my first year, my first summer as a cadet nurse, 16, 17 years of age. Myself, Gary Scott, Kenny Clayton, and Chris Davis, who now is in Abergele. Kenny's still in Denbigh. Gary's, I think he's Colwyn Bay. We decided to go in a tent to Triada Bay. I think Gary had a car. Or was it Chris? Maybe, I can't remember. Anyway, one of us had a car. It wasn't me anyway, someone had a car. And we went to Triada Bay, and it was one of those summers that we always used to have. It was just sunshine all day. In those days, a winter was full of snow and the summer was full of sun. So we pitched our tent in some caravan site in Triada Bay and bombed straight down to the beach. Saturday, all day Saturday. And indeed, all day Sunday. Now, I was 17, I never thought of any sun cream or protection or, going in the shade or anything like that. And come Sunday night, my body was in a mess, I can tell you. It was red, raw. And we had to report to the training school on Monday morning, and I went to the training school. And Sister Lynn Cullen, who was the cadet's tutor in the training school, took one look at me and said, "What have you done to this boy?" And sent me immediately to bed. And she used to check on me hourly to give me fluids, because I was I think I must have gone into shock or something. Anyway, after 3 days in bed, I woke up one morning. Well, I woke up some part of the day, can't remember if it was morning, and all my skin had shed. It was all over the bed. And I felt a new man, and I had new skin, and I could get on with the rest of my life. Anyway, that's a couple more memories and I hope a spooky story. That was one that me and Mike used to talk about now and again. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you very, very soon. Bye for now. We'll just have another look at the hospital, I think. Spooky place.